You're listening to the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast, where we do fast, fun, free daily deep dives into books of the Bible. And right now, we're going through Esther.
Can you believe that I'm still using cough drops to record this after, what's it been, 2 weeks or something? It's just nuts. Every now and then this happens. I think this is maybe like the third time in the history of the podcast where I've had one of these mega coughs, and I just try to grit my way through it. But I don't like it because on some of these episodes, I can barely hold back the cough, like right there. Did you hear it? And so it sounds like I'm nervous and angry, but I'm not. I'm having a really good time. And this is not much fun to do this when you have this stupid cough. But thank you, cough drops, for helping me to limp along and get right through it. Anyways, I got a buddy. His name's Destin. We've been friends for a long time, and we do another podcast on the interwebs called No Dumb Questions. If you ever listen to it, you might like it. I think it's pretty fun. It's kind of a two dudes talking, like the old Car Guys Car Talk kind of show. He's a rocket scientist, the engineer type, and then obviously, you hang out with me, whatever I am. And so it's fun. We pick a topic and we talk about it together. But we've been friends for a long time, and over the course of a long friendship, you develop inside jokes, inside language that you use with each other that's born out of experiences you've had together. And one word that he and I use with each other is it's a verb. I suppose the infinitive form of the verb would be to Kool-Aid man. Or in Spanish, for those of you who partake, that would be Kool-Aid manar, yo Kool-Aid mano, tu Kool-Aid manas, el Kool-Aid mana, nosotros Kool-Aid manamos, eos Kool-Aid manan. And important side note, that is irregular in the future, and the conditional yo Kool-Aid mandre, yo Kool-Aid mandria. Next time you travel to Guatemala or El Salvador, just break that out. I promise you it'll totally work. This term is derived from those old commercials for Kool-Aid. You remember them from the 80s or 90s, whenever it was? There was a Kool-Aid man. He was just a pitcher of Kool-Aid, and he had eyes and a smile on the pitcher. That was the body. And then he had gloves and boots. And every now and then kids would just be standing around in a room, and he would just explode through a wall and scream, "Oh yeah," and then start yelling things at them about sugary drink products. And the kids never freaked out. They were always like, "It's great that you did that to the wall. My mom's probably not even going to be mad." And socially, from time to time, both my buddy and probably more so me have had some moments where maybe we were a little indelicate in approaching a situation, and it would have been better for us to come in and listen and in a measured way kind of size it up. But instead, we did the thing where we're the knower of things, and we exploded through the wall and just started saying how all the things are and what everyone ought to do. Probably not my best look ever on the occasions that I've done that. So now we can just say, "Dude, you're Kool-Aid Manning" to the other one, and it's a nice way to get things back on track very, very quickly. I'm telling you all of this for a reason. No, the conjugations in Spanish for Kool-Aid manar, that was not for a reason. Everything else I'm telling you for a reason, and that is that it blows my mind that Queen Esther has the restraint not to Kool-Aid man this situation she finds herself in Esther chapter 5. Think about it. Now that you know the term, when would it be okay for someone to Kool-Aid man a situation? Maybe if something was on fire. Maybe if someone were bleeding, maybe if someone were about to die. Well, I think genocide rises to the level of Kool-Aid manning, where it would make sense to burst into a situation and be like, "This is crazy. We need to do something right now." But instead, Esther goes with a value that is highly celebrated, discreetly, but highly celebrated throughout Scripture, and that is shrewdness. She plays her hand brilliantly. You see, the simpleton in her situation, feeling pressure from her cousin Mordecai, who's kind of got her between a rock and a hard place. Hey, either you help us, or I will expose you as being a member of this targeted ethnic group. And also feeling the pressure, the rock and the hard place of the edict that has been signed by her husband, King Xerxes, but this edict is going to kill her people group. She is in a horrible point of pressure, and now she understands the machinations. She gets how the whole thing has unfolded the way it is. And if it were me, I would like to think that I would have been clever and calculating and operated in a way that was void of emotion, that is, in a way that would have the highest likelihood of success. But this is so much pressure that you couldn't fault her if she decided to go with the Kool-Aid man approach. But instead, This is what we get. Esther 5:1. On the third day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the palace in front of the king's hall. The king was sitting on his royal throne in the hall, facing the entrance. When he saw Queen Esther standing in the court, now remember, this is the high drama point. If he extends the scepter to her, she is received. If not, her life may be in danger. When he saw Queen Esther standing in the court, he was pleased with her and held out to her the gold scepter that was in his hand. So Esther approached and touched the tip of his scepter. Do you see how calm all of this is? Do you think Xerxes would have received her well if she came in shrieking and Kool-Aid manning the situation, lecturing him on his sloppy edict? What are you doing? I don't think it would have worked. I do not think he would have extended the gold scepter. We know that if you're Xerxes' wife and you embarrass him in front of his friends, bad things happen to you. So composure is required here in order for to even have a chance of making this happen. But come on, let's give credit where it's due to this young lady. How hard would it be to maintain your composure in that situation? You know what wouldn't be attractive to a king who hadn't called you into his chambers for at least a month? Freaking out and embarrassing him in front of his court. That would not be attractive at all. It puts him in a situation where to appear strong, he has to maybe even do something to you that he would otherwise rather not do. Punitively, that is. No, she is voluntarily choosing to walk into the fire, to walk into the lion's den. Those are two accidental Daniel references, but it kind of works, and I'm keeping it. And the only way for this to work is to remain calm. It's like one of those scenes in a movie where the hero has to tame a dangerous beast, a dragon or a monster or something, and if they freak out and they go nuts, they'll alarm the beast and the beast will respond in a bad way. So they have to keep their composure, and you can almost picture them, hand just lightly quivering, speaking in a low tone. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. I'm not going to hurt you. Walking up to the enormous snout of the beast, the hot breath of the monster bathing them in warm air. Maybe the beast bares its teeth and makes a grunt or a roar. Then you can even picture the hero looking away and closing their eyes as they get covered in a bit of that spittle from the gaping maw of the beast. But then they make contact with the snout, and suddenly the beast matches the calm of the hero. And now there's an opportunity for the two to interact, and maybe something good to come out of this situation. I feel like that is what we're seeing right here. But Kool-Aid manning, which would probably be the natural instinct for most of us, would have ruined all of this. Maybe you're wondering, is this going to be an entire episode of this podcast that you are dedicating exclusively to admiring the composure of Queen Esther under pressure? And the answer to your question is, you're dang right it is. And giving this its own episode is the least I can do to tip my hat and acknowledge how in awe I am of her conduct in this nearly impossible situation. Without a hint of Kool-Aid manning, Queen Esther has calmed and tamed the dangerous beast who, if calmed and tamed, could be harnessed and used for her ends, instead of the inevitable destructive ends that the beast is driving toward if left to its own devices. By God's providence, Esther really is rounding into something very remarkable as this story unfolds early in chapter 5. But this is just the beginning of her not Kool-Aid man approach. She's only made contact with the snout of the beast, made the initial connection. Tomorrow and the next day, we're going to look at how she unfolds her not Kool-Aid man, very shrewd strategy for steering this beast toward something good. All right, that's plenty for today. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour Podcast. Let's do this again soon.